Picture this. You're scrolling through Instagram, looking at another influencer's acai bowl or quinoa salad, thinking you've discovered the ultimate superfood trend. But what if I told you that nearly 2,000 years ago, Romans were already eating foods so nutritionally powerful that they could put your modern wellness routine to shame? What if the real superfoods aren't sitting in your trendy health store, but buried in the ruins of ancient Rome, forgotten by time itself? Welcome back to Ancient Rome Revisited, where we explore the fascinating world of ancient Rome. I'm your host, Marcus. Yes, that's right, Marcus Aurelius. And today I'm taking you on a culinary journey that will completely change how you think about food in ancient times. You see, when we think of Roman cuisine, most of us picture gladiators gnawing on turkey legs or senators feasting on grapes. But the reality is far more complex and infinitely more interesting. The Romans weren't just master engineers and military strategists. They were inadvertent nutritional pioneers. They discovered, cultivated and consumed foods that modern science would classify as superfoods, packed with antioxidants, omega fatty acids, and nutrients that our ancestors desperately needed to fuel their empire-building lifestyle. Yet somewhere between the fall of Rome and your last trip to Whole Foods, these incredible foods vanished from our plates entirely. Some disappeared due to changing agricultural practices, others because of shifting trade routes, and some simply because we forgot how remarkable they were. So grab your favorite TV snack, or maybe make that acai bowl or quinoa salad that you saw on Instagram earlier, and let's explore 15 incredible Roman superfoods that have completely disappeared from modern life. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll be wondering why we ever stopped eating like Romans. Before we begin, though, if you love Roman history and want to learn more about the trials and tribulations of the people and the Republic of Rome, then click the subscribe button now and you'll never miss another episode of Ancient Rome Revisited. If you have just clicked subscribe, then I, Marcus, thank you. Okay, let's now look at 15 superfoods that the Romans ate but are now extinct from modern life. 1. Silphium, the $1,000,000 spice that went extinct. Let's start with perhaps the most legendary lost food of the ancient world, silphium. If you think saffron is expensive today, at about $5,000 per pound, silphium was worth its weight in gold, literally. This miraculous plant grew wild only in a small region of modern-day Libya, and the Romans were absolutely obsessed with it. Silphium wasn't just a spice. It was medicine, contraceptive, and culinary miracle all rolled into one. Roman gourmets used it the way we use truffle oil today, but with far more dramatic results. Ancient sources claim it could cure everything from coughs to snake bites, and modern researchers believe it may have contained compounds similar to those found in our most potent anti-inflammatory medications. The tragedy: the Romans loved silphium so much they literally ate it into extinction. The last known plant was reportedly given to Emperor Nero around 60 CE, who ate it on the spot. Imagine if someone consumed the last avocado tree on Earth. That's essentially what happened to silphium. 2. Garum, the umami bomb that ruled Roman cuisine. Now, I know what you're thinking when I mention garum. Isn't that the gross fish sauce? But before you wrinkle your nose, consider this. Garum was to Romans what soy sauce is to Asian cuisine, except infinitely more complex and nutritionally dense. Made by fermenting fish entrails, salt, and herbs in the sun for several months, garum was packed with protein, B vitamins, and amino acids. The fermentation process created natural probiotics that supported digestive health, something our gut health-obsessed culture would absolutely worship today. The finest garum came from tuna blood and was more expensive than fine wine. Romans put it on everything: vegetables, meat, even desserts. It was their ketchup, their hot sauce, and their health supplement all in one. While we can still find fish sauce in Asian markets, the specific Roman preparation methods and the particular fish species they used have been lost to time. 3. Verjuice, the ancient energy drink. Long before Red Bull gave you wings, Romans had verjuice, a tangy, refreshing drink made from unripe grapes that was packed with natural electrolytes and antioxidants. Think of it as the ancient equivalent of coconut water, but with a more complex flavor profile. Verjuice was rich in tartaric acid, which modern research shows can help regulate blood sugar levels and support cardiovascular health. Roman soldiers carried it on long marches, athletes drank it for endurance, and physicians prescribed it for various ailments. The Romans understood that the unripe grapes contained higher concentrations of certain beneficial compounds than their mature counterparts. While we still make verjuice in some parts of the world today, the Roman varieties, made from specific grape cultivars that no longer exist, had unique nutritional profiles that we've lost forever. 4. Libum, the sacred cheesecake. That healed before cheesecake became a guilty pleasure, Romans created libum, a sacred cake made with fresh cheese, eggs, and honey that was both offering to the gods and medicine for mortals. This wasn't your New York-style dessert disaster. Libum was a carefully crafted superfood that provided complete proteins, healthy fats, and natural antibiotics from raw honey. The cheese Romans used was made from the milk of specific breeds of goats and sheep that grazed on wild Mediterranean herbs, giving the final product unique flavonoids and omega fatty acids. The honey came from bees that exclusively fed on now extinct flowering plants, creating a product with antimicrobial properties that modern honey simply can't match. Libum was fed to recovering patients, pregnant women, and growing children. It was the original protein bar, except it actually tasted incredible and had 0 artificial ingredients. 5. Condatum, the antioxidant-packed wine. Cocktail. Romans didn't just drink wine, they created conditum, a spiced wine concoction that would make your most elaborate cocktail look simple. This wasn't just about getting buzzed at dinner parties. Conditum was loaded with spices like long pepper, cardamom, and honey that created a powerhouse of antioxidants. The base wine was often made from grapes grown on volcanic soil around Mount Vesuvius, which gave it unique mineral content. The spices were imported from across the empire, many from plants that are now extinct or no longer cultivated. The fermentation process, combined with the spice infusion, created compounds that modern science recognizes as potent anti-inflammatory agents. Conditum was prescribed for digestive issues, served to strengthen the immune system, and consumed by philosophers who believed it enhanced mental clarity. It was the original functional beverage, thousands of years before we started adding adaptogens to our morning coffee. 6. Mulsum, the probiotic honey wine. While we're on the topic of Roman drinks, let's talk about mulsum, a fermented honey wine that was essentially ancient kombucha with a twist. Made by fermenting honey with specific strains of wild yeast, mulsum created a probiotic-rich beverage that supported digestive health long before we understood the science behind gut bacteria. The honey used in mulsum came from bees that fed on a diverse array of Mediterranean wildflowers, many of which are now extinct due to climate change and urbanization. This gave the final product a complex array of enzymes, amino acids, and antimicrobial compounds that modern honey simply can't replicate. Romans drank mulsum before meals to aid digestion, gave it to children to boost their immune systems, and used it as a base for other medicinal preparations. It was wine, medicine, and health tonic all in one perfectly balanced package. 7. Laser, the mysterious resin medicine. Related to silphium but distinct in its own right, laser was a resin extracted from various plants that Romans used both as food flavoring and medicine. This sticky, aromatic substance was packed with volatile compounds that modern aromatherapy would recognize as incredibly potent. Laser was added to soups, stews, and sauces, not just for flavor, but for its digestive properties and ability to preserve food naturally. The resin contained powerful antimicrobial agents that kept food fresh without refrigeration, a crucial advantage in the ancient world. The specific plants that produced the finest laser grew only in certain microclimates around the Mediterranean, and changes in agriculture and climate have made them virtually impossible to find today. We've lost not just a flavor, but an entire category of natural food preservation. 8. Moritum, the ancient superfood spread. Imagine if pesto had a baby with hummus, and that baby was raised on a diet of pure nutrition. That's moritum. This Roman spread was made from fresh cheese, garlic, herbs, olive oil, and salt, creating a protein-rich, probiotic-packed food that Romans spread on bread or ate as a meal. The cheese was made from raw milk, which contained beneficial bacteria that modern pasteurization eliminates. The herbs were wild varieties that grew in Mediterranean soils rich with minerals, giving them higher concentrations of vitamins and antioxidants than their modern, cultivated cousins. Moritum was the food of farmers and laborers, the ancient equivalent of a protein shake that actually tasted incredible and provided sustained energy for physical work. Roman agricultural workers would start their day with moritum and work for hours without needing another meal. 9. Vino garum, the fermented fish wine fusion. If garum was Roman ketchup, vino garum was their Worcestershire sauce, a complex fermented condiment that combined wine and fish sauce to create something entirely unique. This wasn't just about flavor. The double fermentation process created a product rich in amino acids, B vitamins, and natural preservatives. The wine used in vino garum was often made from grape varieties that no longer exist, and the fish were caught from Mediterranean waters that were far less polluted than today's oceans. The combination created a condiment that could enhance the nutritional value of any dish while adding incredible umami depth. Romans used vino garum to season vegetables, marinate meats, and even as a base for medicinal preparations. It was the original flavor enhancer that also happened to be incredibly good for you. 10. Defrutum, the concentrated grape superfood. Before we had grape juice concentrate, Romans created defrutum, a thick, syrup-like reduction of grape juice that was concentrated nutrition in liquid form. Made by slowly cooking down fresh grape juice until it was reduced to a third of its original volume, defrutum was packed with natural sugars, antioxidants, and minerals. The grapes used for defrutum often came from ancient varieties that had higher concentrations of resveratrol and other beneficial compounds than modern table grapes. The slow cooking process concentrated these nutrients while creating new compounds through the Maillard reaction. Romans used defrutum as a sweetener, medicine, and food preservative. It was given to athletes for quick energy, to the sick for strength, and to children as a healthy treat. Think of it as ancient energy gel, but one that actually tasted amazing and didn't require a chemistry degree to pronounce the ingredients. 11th, acetum, the medicinal vinegar. Roman acetum wasn't just your average vinegar. It was a carefully crafted acidic condiment made from wine, fruits, or grains that served as both food preservative and medicine. The fermentation process created acetic acid and other compounds that modern research shows can help regulate blood sugar and support heart health. The base ingredients for acetum often included fruits and grains that are no longer cultivated, giving the final product unique flavor, profiles, and nutritional benefits. Romans used different types of acetum for different purposes, some for cooking, others for medicinal preparations, and some for cleaning wounds. Roman soldiers carried acetum diluted with water as a refreshing drink that also helped prevent scurvy on long campaigns. It was their Gatorade, antibiotic, and food preservative all rolled into one incredibly versatile product. 12. Oxygala, the probiotic cheese drink. Imagine Greek yogurt in liquid form, but made with raw milk and fermented with wild bacteria strains. That's Oxygala. This tangy, refreshing drink was packed with probiotics, protein, and calcium, making it the original functional beverage for digestive health. The milk used for Oxygala came from animals that grazed on diverse Mediterranean pastures, giving it a complex array of fatty acids and vitamins that modern dairy products can't match. The fermentation process was natural and wild, creating bacterial strains that we've largely lost in our pasteurized, homogenized dairy industry. Romans drank Oxygala for digestive health, gave it to children for growth, and used it as a base for other fermented foods. It was liquid nutrition that also happened to be incredibly refreshing on hot Mediterranean days. 13. Mulsa, the honey water elixir. Before sports drinks dominated the market, Romans had mulsa, a simple mixture of honey and water that provided natural electrolytes, quick energy, and antimicrobial benefits. This wasn't just sweetened water. The honey used in mulsa contained enzymes, amino acids, and antibacterial compounds from now extinct flowering plants. The water used for mulsa often came from natural springs that were rich in minerals, creating a beverage that was naturally electrolyte balanced. Romans drank mulsa during athletic competitions, gave it to recovering patients, and used it as a base for other medicinal preparations. The simplicity of mulsa belies its sophistication. It was perfectly formulated natural nutrition that modern sports science is still trying to replicate artificially. 14th Passum, the raisin wine. Medicine. Passum was a sweet wine made from partially dried grapes that created a beverage rich in concentrated nutrients and natural sugars. The partial drying process concentrated not just the sugars, but also the antioxidants, creating a drink that was both pleasure and medicine. The grapes used for passum were often varieties that are no longer cultivated, and the drying process took place in specific Mediterranean microclimates that enhanced the concentration of beneficial compounds. The fermentation was carefully controlled to preserve maximum nutrition while creating a stable, shelf-stable product. Romans served passum to guests as a luxury item, prescribed it for various ailments, and used it in religious ceremonies. It was wine elevated to the level of functional medicine. 15. Carinum, the fig syrup superfood. Our final lost superfood is carinum, a thick syrup made from figs that was essentially concentrated nutrition in edible form. Made by slowly cooking down fresh figs until they formed a thick, sweet paste, carinum was packed with fiber, potassium, and natural sugars. The figs used for carinum were often wild varieties that had higher concentrations of nutrients than modern cultivated figs. The slow cooking process concentrated these nutrients while creating complex flavors through caramelization. Romans used carinum as a sweetener, medicine, and energy food. It was given to athletes before competitions, to laborers for sustained energy, and to children as a healthy treat. Think of it as ancient energy bar filling, but one that actually provided genuine nutrition. In conclusion, Roman superfoods are indeed a lost legacy of ancient Rome. As we reach the end of our culinary journey through ancient Rome, it's worth reflecting on what we modern fast food junkies have lost in our diet. The 15 superfoods that we have looked at in this video weren't just foods. They were sophisticated nutritional solutions developed over centuries of trial and error. The Romans, without modern nutritional science, created a cuisine that was incredibly advanced in its understanding of food as medicine. The loss of these superfoods represents more than just changing tastes or agricultural practices. It represents a disconnection from the natural world, a simplification of our relationship with food, and a loss of nutritional wisdom that took millennia to develop. But here's the fascinating part. Many of the principles behind these lost Roman superfoods are being rediscovered by modern nutritional science. The fermentation techniques, the use of wild plants, the combination of foods for enhanced nutrition. These are all concepts that modern wellness culture is frantically trying to recreate in the form of supplements and other medicines. Perhaps the real lesson here isn't that we should mourn these lost foods, but that we should look to the past for inspiration as we move forward. The Romans understood something that we're just beginning to remember. That food isn't just fuel, it's medicine, culture, and connection to the natural world, all wrapped up in the 15 different but delicious packages. So the next time you're sipping your kombucha or sprinkling adaptogens on your smoothie bowl, remember that you're participating in a tradition that stretches back thousands of years. The Romans may have done it first, but we're still doing it. We're just using different ingredients to chase the same ancient wisdom. So, what do you think? Are there any modern superfoods that you think might disappear in the future? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the fascinating world of ancient Rome. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.